Welcome to The Resilient Responder, the podcast where we explore stories of strength, courage, and unwavering resilience in the face of life's challenges, as told by first responders. Join us now on a journey of inspiration and empowerment as we dive in with Dylan, Josh, and Patrick.
Might help if I press the right to The Resilient Responder, hosted by Scars Incorporated and sponsored by First Responder Coaching. We are back in the barn.
Oh man, I'm telling
but
you.
in a different position, kind of. We decided.
We decided to switch it up a little bit, but this is this is cozy.
It is cozy.
It is cozy. I will give it that.
We're on the other side of the barn from where we normally sit. So, like over here would be the actual bar where we sit at sometimes, and over there's the table. But this is nice.
It works. Here.
We changed it up. It's cold. It's cold tonight, so we had to be closer to the heater.
You're literally underneath of the biggest heater in here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Josh has
you guys got one over you. I don't want to hear.
Josh has one of these stand-up propane heater things that you see at like outdoor restaurants, and we kept scooting it closer to Dylan. He's like, "Keep coming, keep coming."
Actually, I'm starting to get a little warm now, so
I hope you start sweating.
I might go turn into from a Scars episode to some kind of OnlyFans striptease kind of.
Oh yeah, we laugh now when I accidentally talked. You remember when I said OnlyFans about saying Julian that? I can't remember what episode. It was like our third episode
ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was hilarious.
I don't remember.
It was something.
Right.
So we're back in the barn. We are. We're going to have a guest here in a little bit with us. As a matter of fact, two guests. Yeah, one of them's in the waiting room currently. However, this past Thursday, we started our first responder coaching class, and
it was fun.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was 2 hours.
It's different than what I thought it was going to be. Honestly,
yeah, me too.
There was a lot of, it was kind of like, oh my God moment there for a little bit. We had to share some things that were going on in our personal lives. We had to do a DISC assessment.
I felt awkward because we share so much between the three of us anyways. I was thinking of how do I say what we normally say but G-rated. Because, I mean, typically when we talk, it's a lot different.
Right.
Now the people that sponsor us are involved. And I'm like, I don't know if I want them to know us.
But I also think that there's an importance to the non-G-rated version because some of the folks that we are close to and work with can identify with the R-rated version of it, the normal version.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be able to turn that on and off when you need to.
And before the show, we usually gather anywhere between an hour and a half, usually about 60 to 90 minutes before the show. And we sit around and we'll joke, we'll talk about our weeks. Mm-hmm. And, we all talk outside of this anyway. We basically talk almost every day, usually in a text message format. But, we all kind of talk. But it was a different dynamic in the class. We had one person that was I'm going to say an outsider. But, and I kind of feel like the three of us just kind of, like always, we jived, but it was a different dynamic. It's not like sitting around and talking like we do here.
Right. There was a moderator, maybe?
Yeah, Megan.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce Megan's last name, and I'm so sorry if you're watching, Megan. But she did a really good job of breaking things down, of how we were going to talk about things and discuss things. And that was really rewarding for me. I was actually in Charleston. I was going to see my daughter do a band concert. So my dad was in the car with me as we're doing this Teams, whatever.
I was interested in the coaching, like when we actually, the second part of
when we came back from break.
When we come back from break, the actual coaching session was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be.
The power of words. It is really what I took away from that. And, through my years of EMS and growing into management, and Dylan's been involved in a lot of my upcoming of that, but learning how to use our words appropriately. And that's something that AA Aaron has really taught us.
So some of the things that really stood out to me in the first session was, so to break this down for our viewers is, this is a 2-hour session. First hour is basically classroom work, which is recorded for us to go back and be able to revisit. The second hour is not recorded, and it's actually practice coaching or live coaching. So on top of us honing our coaching ability, we're also learning that craft as well. So that was a different setup than what I had originally anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just want to break that down to kind of, because there's a lot of people that have shown interest in that to be able to come in and do that course as well. So just being able to break down what we're doing week to week, I think is important so they can kind of see.
See, and I felt like, and maybe it's going to be this way, I don't know. I'm excited for the next session, but I felt like the session part or the coaching part of it was going to be more like a script that we would read, and she threw a curveball at me.
Right.
When she's like, so somebody volunteer something that somebody has going on in our group. And I'm like, whoa, like we're really doing this. Like this is, we're going to be a part of a coaching session right now. And I was really glad that you raised your hand.
Well, but even to like when we did that, and remember, this is 1 day a week, 2 hours. Ours is on a Thursday, but it's 2 hours. And it's a self-paced course. Mm-hmm. They give you a book, you do all the things. And when she asked for a life experience, and I gave one, and then just following up with her afterwards, learning how to learning how to talk through some of it. It was really good.
There was a big emphasis for me on the, I believe, which comes from a lot of our leadership courses as well that we've taken in the past few years. So there was a nice dynamic of, not only doing the coaching part, but getting that feedback of having the openness to continue the conversation per se with the I think, I feel, I believe.
Right.
And that's all part of not only a leadership trait along with a coaching trait, but also a trait of being able to form an opinion or an argument that supports your beliefs and your opinions and so in the long run, all of it kind of comes together if you really think about how that all is.
I know there's several people saying about our connection. We will, if this video keeps lagging and buffering, we will post the video tonight.
Check the box.
Yeah, I'll check the box here. One of the things about the coaching class that was really interesting to me was the amount of just overall input that we had. It wasn't like I was worried going into it of, oh my goodness, how are we going to fill 2 hours? Yeah. I think the same thing whenever we do a show. How are we going to fill an hour? Because when we talk about our topic or anything.
Right.
So great course. If you're interested in taking the course, you can go to First Responder
Coaching.
FirstResponderCoaching.com.
Yeah.
Reach out to Jennifer and her team, and they can get you. They're actually going to launch another class. I saw that. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Jennifer and her team, and you can hop right in with it. We will continue to share stories. We're really excited to be able to be part of this. This is our dream. This is your dream, and we're living it like we're living it.
The idea on the napkin,
right? This is the napkin coming to life.
So before we get too far in, of course, we're about a week away from Christmas, so we want to keep checking on our first responder friends, our frontline worker friends. It's a tough time of year for a lot of people. Yeah. For a lot of people who's going through the trenches. A lot of our co-workers will be working through the holiday season, and actually after tonight, we probably won't be back until after the New Year, because the next scheduled would be
New Year's Eve,
but it's actually 3 Sundays in January. So
December.
In January.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah, December.
In December, because it's 31st, so we'll pick up in January again. And that gives us a little bit of time to reset too. But I think tonight is, we're keeping it more relaxed, but we also want to talk to some of our friends that have some really important things coming up to start the new year and in January, which is why we've reached out to a couple folks we have tonight to ask if they'd come on and share a few things with us. So kind of an open discussion and kind of just wanting to get some engagement from our fans, from our live audience, from our so kind of a question and answer thing. But I think it's really important that the first guest we're going to bring on tonight of what they're doing to support our area and help grow the mental health resiliency, the mental health assistance, all that through their own program through first responder coaching, which is just awesome that we keep getting to promote that side of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to talk about some upcoming events, especially at the beginning of the year, that are really important to us personally and important to our area that we are physically located in. So
there's also our friends down in Myrtle Beach area. Inside Horry County today, there was a tornado that touched down.
Yeah, Horry County, Georgetown County, basically all up and down the coast, really from Savannah clear up to Wilmington, was really just getting blasted by storms today, and a lot of storm surge, a lot of intercoastal flooding, so on and so forth. So
keep them in your thoughts, especially just being this close to the holiday season.
Yeah,
it breaks my heart to think that somebody could potentially lose their home or something they've worked so hard for. Also, in our region, we're expected some weather tomorrow.
Yeah, it's raining now, which is not too bad, but winds are going to start picking up. Winds are going to shift. We'll get colder through the day tomorrow. Probably see some snow. So all of our responders here in the Mountain State, be prepared for that tomorrow. I think that it'll transition pretty fast. They're talking around 5 o'clock hour for a transition. So of course, right at rush hour, when everybody's out on the roads, we'll get that whole flash freeze thing going on, and that'll just turn into a mess. So.
And I'm working tomorrow night, so this will be fun.
And that's what sucks about our area is we really don't get the snow here.
Right.
We get the warm side of the storm, and then on the back side we get the cold. So we don't see a lot of snow. What we get is a lot of flash freeze, flurries, an inch or two, and then it moves on. So, I mean, hell, it's supposed to be back in the 50s, almost 60 by Christmas here. So, it kind of.
Which I'm tickled.
I'm not.
I am. You're not building an addition.
I either want it to be 70 or 20. There's no
I'm
between.
fine with 70, but
I want it to be
can
90
or
90 or 70.
I can understand that out of you.
He
was worried when he got up there. The fire wasn't started yet. He's like, if Dylan shows up, we're going to have to hear him.
Oh, well, you always judge it based off if the elbow's glowing or not. It wasn't yet.
I've been getting more insulated lately, so it's.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Take notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, before we bring anybody on, last night my mother had her Christmas, and I went and I got to hang out with my brother, and I haven't seen him. I mean, he lives so far away. I think it's 1.5 miles.
Sure.
I know, but I haven't got to see him. I haven't got to talk to him. I've been busy. I haven't been able to see him. I know. But I haven't been able to see him. I've been busy. He's been busy. And, hey, they had a call in Bridgeport 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. He was telling me about it last night. And he said that this call was nasty. It was a nasty call. And he's a dispatcher. So they had an automatic, you're going to have to.
Oh, the OnStar.
Yeah, OnStar, crash alert.
Automatic
crash detection, call in, and he sat there as a dispatcher. He answers the phone and he hears. I'm not going to get into details, but he hears things that people shouldn't hear.
Right.
And he had to listen to it as a dispatcher. You have to listen to any clue that where they all instantly know where it is, but how many people's in the vehicle?
Right.
What are you listening to? What's going on, and he's dispatching a call. And he had to listen to it, I think, another 2 or 3 times afterwards. And just listening to him tell his story last night, I mean, it's crazy because people automatically think that dispatchers don't have that voice. Right. They don't deal with the things that they don't. Absolutely. They're not dealing with it in the field, and sometimes they don't get to hear anything other than, what they hear. They don't get to see it. They don't get to see good things. They only get to see the bad.
They paint their own picture.
Absolutely, and their mind's a wicked thing. All of our minds are wicked, horrible. I mean, they brought in. I don't believe for the dispatchers. They brought in for the fire department, state police, chaplain, and they did a debriefing. And my brother was sitting there telling me, he's like, "Hey, I wasn't going to go." And it was a coworker of his that said, "No, we're going. We need to go." So they ended up going. And Corey told me, he said, "Hey, listen," he said, "that was good stuff. That was good stuff." And I had shared with him some of the ideas that the three of us had talked about and said, this is kind of like our foresight of what we want to do and the importance of mental health. And he's like, "Man, I could see where the follow-up is key." And if you attack this quickly, but then follow up through the processing,
Right.
that's where you're going to make a difference. But one, they did something. That's good.
Right, absolutely it is.
Did they do enough? Who knows?
Well, but I like how we've talked about that initial hot wash, which is that critical time right after the call, but then other people process at different time rates, so that the actual debrief, we're talking 48, 36, 72 hours, out, and folks need that debrief at different times. But the important part of that is, the minute that call is completed, the minute that the apparatus backs into the station, the minute that the 911 call is cleared off the board, that's the initial check-in time, right? Like that's when it starts that critical countdown, because after the incident is when your mind starts to relax and starts to take it all in. We get into that fight mode, that savior mode, that the training kicks in.
We act a lot off instincts based off of our training.
It's the fight or flight.
Yeah. That's right.
That's where it all comes back down to.
But even when last episode we were in Westover at the VFW, and I process things pretty quick. Like as soon as that, oh shit, what just happened? Okay, and I start rolling through the punches. Okay, did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do this? Okay, and I start taking everything in. I'm really quick of processing everything that happened. You're not.
No.
You're like week, month. You're all over the friggin' place.
Yeah.
But you're not today. You are not today.
No.
But what I was talking to Corey about was how nice would it be if when everybody, and I see that he made a comment, everybody involved, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're about, this is my phone number, reach out to me, and I'll see you in 5 days. That gives people a time to digest it. That gives people a time to process it. What the hell did I just listen to?
Right.
What did I see? Right. What did I do? You can process that, and then down the road, 5 days, maybe I don't know. I'm pulling shit out my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out for 5 days. Yeah, it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
5 days, 10 days, 15 days.
Sure. I don't think it stops there. I think that you continuously see. I think that that's a lot of problem with the CISD personally, is that you do one debrief and then that's it. It's done.
Well, and you think about some of our busier departments, in that 5 days, you've experienced another trauma that erases the trauma that happened today. So, it's that whole cumulative thing too. So I think that's why, and I hate to keep going back to that because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse a little bit, but that hot wash is so vitally important, at least for the folks that are in supervisory positions and co-workers to these folks, this, that, and the other, because that's where you start seeing that decline or that cumulative stress start build. So those hot washes and then a follow-up, because like I said, you may go, say a typical 24-48, in 36 hours, you may relive another trauma that erases this trauma, but builds onto the stress in that point.
Well, one of the things that I told him when we did our episode with Taylor, Taylor, and I was telling him this, I said, you need to go back and watch that episode. Taylor was talking about They had a session. I don't know. We need to call her and just ask her how often they met, because they had a group meeting that was led internally
Right.
for them
With the fire department.
with the fire department, with whoever wanted to be there. And it was a group meeting to be able to have good conversation, to be able to just check in with each other.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters getting together, we kind of joked around a little bit, and they got hot and readies from Little Caesars. And they were able to do what you just said.
Yeah.
Talk about on a regular basis, because you don't have to go to every meeting, but if you had that crappy call,
Right.
hey, Thursday at 6,
Well,
I need to go.
And much like what we try to do at the VFW there, and I think that's important to normalize those type of settings so that they become more often, they become more comfortable, they become more popular. And then it's less about us doing the talking as much as it is the networking and just connecting and sharing, in that space.
I think the comfort thing that you just brought up, though, is the key. Right now, it's not comfortable because it's not. We're still fighting the stigma of talking about these problems.
Right.
So the getting comfortable, I think, is what a lot of this is about.
Right.
Is you're going to have to, and that's a heavy load to lift sometimes.
So we've already had our first guest waiting in the waiting room for quite a while, but
we'll bring him
to build on what we're talking about is we're going to talk with Chief Kimble from Buckhannon Fire Department, who is currently working on a regional program to build more coaches, to have more boots on the ground per se, and I'll really want him to explain how their process is going and all that. So we've invited him to talk to us tonight. And
Good evening, Chief.
He's on there, right?
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Everybody good there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a little warm at the moment. I got to turn this down.
Dylan complains about it being cold, so we put him under a heater, and now he's hot. So we got to figure that part out. And now he just turned it off. Oh goodness. How's things in the big city?
Oh, they're good. Comes and goes like every other place, small or big.
So Chief Kimble is the fire chief at Buckhannon Fire Department. Chief, would you mind to give us just a little introduction, who you are, all that kind of fun stuff?
Like you said, my name is J.B. Kimble. I'm a lifetime resident of Buckhannon. I've been in the Buckhannon Fire Department now. I'm going on between 33 and 34 years. I started, like most people in the career mode now, I started as a volunteer at the Buckhannon Fire Department in December of 1990. And in the year 2000, I got hired as a full-time career city firefighter. And at that time, the city of Buckhannon had one person per shift, and there was 4 of us. So we've really expanded. We're up to 3 per shift, and we have a full-time chief, which I'm blessed to have that position. And I have some really good crews that are on duty, and I also have some really good volunteers. In today's world, that's tough to get. But the Buckhannon Fire Department has progressed. We're actually attempting to go through an accreditation process, which we are really the only fire department in the state of West Virginia that has attempted it, and it's really tough. You basically dissect your fire department, and I've always said this: the hardest thing for a firefighter to do or say is to say, I'm not good at this. And so when you evaluate your fire department, you go through and you evaluate the services you're providing, and you find the ones that you're not good at, and you either make them better or you find somebody else that's good at it to do them. So that kind of led into a few years ago, as the leader of the fire department, I felt like I had a failure in my career, that the things that we've been talking about on the wellness part of it, that something happened at our fire department, and I was unaware of what to do about it. And the city like most cities in West Virginia, really there was no employee assistance programs. There's no peer support systems. And then if you called for anything outside, most firemen don't like to talk to people they don't know. So that's where we're here today. Captain Davis, he's a captain on our volunteer side, and I got together and came up with a plan to start trying to create a mental wellness program for our fire department. And as time went on, I don't know if any of y'all know Chief Andy Starnes, who's retired now. Do y'all know him?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, Andy, he produced the mental wellness program for the Charlotte Fire Department, of course, a larger fire department. And throughout the years, him and I discussed, the process, and basically he told me, don't get in a rush. It's not a box checking mechanism. It's something you want to get a good foundation for. And it took him 4 to 5 years to get it in the Charlotte Fire Department. So here we are, 2023, almost 2024, a little over 2.5 years since our incident at our fire department. Still working on this program, but in the meantime, I had spoken to Dylan. That was probably back in June, I believe, June or July, and he'd put me on to a company called Battalion 1 Consultants, and along with them, I had approached about 4 other companies to talk about helping us create a mental wellness program and what it basically would take. And out of those companies, there was a lot of emails and talk and phone calls and stuff. But Battalion 1 really took ownership, and they 4 of the first responder coaching program. Jennifer came, and 3 members of Battalion 1 came to Buckhannon for a couple of days. And because we'd seen the need in other fire departments similar to ours, like Weston, Elkins, they're all combination departments like ours. I had reached out to Chief Himes and Chief Suttle in those cities, and we had started creating a coalition together because they saw a need for their members also. And so when Battalion 1 was here, they took time. They visited each fire station, sit down and talk to individuals just to get to know us. How do you produce something for somebody if you don't know what they're about? So that really created a relationship with that group. And as of today, we have created all 3 counties as basically a coalition. When the state produced the regional wellness money through the EMS service, I approached the Upshur County Commission, and Dylan, you and Patrick were there, and they backed us 100%. The Randolph County Commission is backing Kirk Gaynor, who's the director of Randolph County EMS. And Chief Suttle, Matt Reed, and a couple others had approached the Lewis County Commission, and I had a discussion with their county coordinator, and they're 100% on board. So we're ready to get moving. We're just waiting for the state to hand the money out. As you know, the state doesn't work quick around the holidays. So we have a 3-phase system with Battalion 1. They're going to come back in. It's basically a 2-year process, and they'll be basically in our family for 2 years.
So kudos to you, first of all. It takes a very, very big person that can set their ego aside for a second and realize that there is a failure in a system, especially if it's within your own system, a system that you have had a large hand in building and progressing forward. So kudos to you for that, first of all.
Thank you.
I know that the Battalion 1 and FRC come in, on their dime to do an assessment, meet with everybody. I mean, they spent two days here with Chief Kimble and the surrounding area, visited Weston, visited Elkins, met as many people as they could. That shows the investment that their company has in, not only their own product, but in other communities to help bring projects to fruition like that.
And when resources are so tight, like they are especially in the Upshur, Randolph, Lewis area, between those three counties, Chief, how many fire departments are there between those three counties? Do you know off the top of your head?
So there's 10 in Randolph, 7 in Upshur, and 6 in Lewis. And then each county has basically a county EMS service. So, our concept was in the beginning, we were looking at the fire service, but we felt the need, because we are a small corps, even if you're not a firefighter, but you're a policeman or you're an EMS worker, that we all work together and we all have the same problems. And like I said in the beginning, it's very difficult for somebody to talk about problems to somebody they don't know. And, the suck it up buttercup days are over. I've been through that. Back when we worked by ourselves, you'd come back from a bad call, everybody'd leave, and you just left at the firehouse by yourself to sit there and ponder, did I do everything right? Did I do anything wrong? Could I have did something differently? So it's a different world today. The amount of call volume that I can speak for us and Elkins and Weston, the amount of call volume and the different types of calls that we respond to now, and the amount of, I call it somebody's worst day. We're firefighters, we're EMS, we're all I'm an EMT. Our whole career staff, a lot of our volunteers are EMTs. You're not trained to deal with a lot of the problems that we're trying to mitigate nowadays, and it makes it very difficult to bring it home. And we got to have some way to release that tension.
Absolutely, and again, I think that goes to the bigger picture of those three counties joining to make a system that is open to 23 fire departments and 3 county EMS systems.
But it goes beyond that to law enforcement, to dispatchers. To hospital workers, to the tow truck drivers. We've talked about all those populations in the past, and we just talked about dispatchers at the beginning of the show. So, now, Chief, how many coaches is your goal in the beginning phases of this?
So we're going to start out right now a total of 6 coaches, 2 from each county at this point in time. And after that, we're going to, as a coalition, we're going to get together and create with Battalion 1, a succession plan, because somebody may coach for a couple years and they may have a bad time with it, and may feel overwhelmed, or they retire. So we got to have some sort of succession planning, because that's time consuming, and financially it's something you have to pay for. And the state, God bless them for providing some money, but this is going to be an ongoing situation. So my goal too is the foundation is the peer system. The more people we can get, Battalion 1 and everybody in here, to learn how to be a peer, we can solve a lot of issues before they expand. Because once they expand, and what you'll find in West Virginia, and I'm sure you all realize this, you work with somebody and you notice something's different, or something, they're coming to work and home's not good, and you notice they're drinking or having, home problems, and you talk to them and they don't want to talk. And, once you've exceeded your education on what you can do for them, there's nothing for anybody to go to. There's no coaching. There's no support system. The city of Buckhannon has 100 employees, and we do not have an employee assistance program. Neither does Elkins or Weston, basically. And, like most cities in West Virginia, the HR system is not functioning for first responders. We'll just say that.
And I think you bring up a good point. That they'll Dylan. Dylan's back of the napkin idea, as we call this, was because of the resources that aren't available, because not everybody can have an EAP, not everybody can have first responder coaches. You know, and again, I mean, Chief Kimble said this very well. The suck it up Buttercup days are done. They're gone.
But also he talked about the EAP, and we talked about that when Battalion 1 was in Buckhannon, of how a lot of times EAP is set up just to check a box, right? Like, okay, great, you got an EAP system. You got EAP, great. Check the box, move on to the next thing. But is it a viable part of the resources able to be used for our service? And it's really not. You know, it's set up to it's not set up for what first responders see day in and day out.
See, one of the things that the chief said that caught my attention, going back to that napkin idea, was now we have first responders talking to first responders, because typically we put up barriers, we put up those walls. And,
like what he said at the beginning, you know, when they had that bad call in Buckhannon, nobody was going to talk to. We're not going to talk to somebody we don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know, Chief Kimble, I think that when he said that part, but then he was kind of able to, you know, segue very, very well into the fact of, are we catching those small signals?
Yeah.
Are we being aware of the small signs? And when we got to go down to Upshur County that day and support Chief Kimble with his mission. And, you know, we talked a lot about this a lot before, and it was the fact of, are we catching those? Are we catching when somebody's not right?
And I think that there's, you know, we talked earlier this evening about cumulative trauma and stressors as well. So, you know, is it possible, and, you know, Chief Kimble, I want you to chime in on this as well, that there are times where we do such a poor job that an entire shift, an entire platoon, an entire crew can be not functioning at their top level due to the stressors, and we've managed to miss that because of their decline. You know, it almost seems like they're normal, or the fact that maybe they've gotten so burnt out, you know, at their job as a whole. You know, so have you ever noticed like an entire platoon or entire one of your battalions kind of slide off of their A game, you know, over cumulative call volume, stressors, so on and so forth?
I want everybody to think about something. You know, when just like right now, the C shift's on duty at Buckhannon, and if they responded to a call right now, that could be the worst call they've ever responded to. And, you know, when they come back from that call, whatever the outcome may be, they are expected to continue working. Maybe that's something as leaders in our departments, you know, I'm talking about on the career side, that if you have a certain type of call, maybe those people need to be relieved of their duty till the next shift, you know, because after you've talked to them, after you did your, you know, your hot wash, you know, and you talk about debriefing 24, 48 hours later, you know, when somebody works 24, 48, they leave after that 24 and you don't see them for 48 hours. So you don't know if they're home drinking. You don't know if they're home, what they're doing, until they come back for that 48. You know, and I want to take into consideration the volunteer fire service. Imagine the same thing on a volunteer firefighter that goes on the worst call he's ever been on, and he comes back to the station and he goes home to his family. You know, there's no support, you know, for that organization other than his family, and it could be a bad outcome, you know, whether it be his wife, his kids, you know, her husband, her kids, you know, you just, I could say, you know, you can tell when people go on bad calls, they come back and there's a different mentality, and, you know, but yet we still expect them to perform. And, you know, it's just like myself, if I leave and go on a call, you know, after hours, a fire or a bad car wreck, to go in and help everybody, and I come back and, you know, my kids are normal kids are, oh, what was the call? What was the call? And if I walk through the house and keep going, my wife will look at him and say, don't ask, you know, because I'm not ready to talk about it, and I don't want to talk to them about it, you know. So everybody, you know, tends with it differently, but eventually the only way you're going to get to feeling better is to talk about it. That's the only way.
So let's go a step further. Let's talk about the volunteer that goes home to the family, but also what happens when that volunteer allows that to affect the job that provides for that family. So what happens in that instance of, you've got a first responder that's 100% volunteer, does that nasty call, carries that over to work, and now they find a way to not be able to mitigate that. They end up in trouble at work, losing their job, whatever. Now they've lost their livelihood that puts bread on the table. Now we're going down a whole different rabbit hole of destroying your livelihood because we don't have the resources available.
So, go ahead.
A lot of times, so our state legislature produced that, PTSD was in workers' comp. Has any of you all read that or looked at it?
I have not.
No, sir.
What's in workers' comp for PTSD? So that they put wording in there that the companies that provide workers' comp to fire departments can provide that. It doesn't say they shall. So you know how many companies that provide workers' comp provide PTSD assistance?
Probably none.
0.
Yep. Kind of figured.
0. And it's all about a word, can and shall.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. There was
but again, the fire service traditionally has harmed itself by people abusing the system. But this is something that really needs to be looked at through our state legislature. When you have people that are, you have career people, and then you have people that are doing on their own time for free, going to somebody's worst day and mitigating a situation, and then going home with problems. Like you said, a volunteer fireman could go home and start drinking and get fired from his job or her job. A career person could come back to work and not perform well and get hurt or killed, or get their partners hurt or killed. This is just something that our legislature, I think, is finally getting some kind of idea of what first responders do. And, and I think their idea is always to throw money at it, and that's not always to solve the problem.
No. I think that, Chief, I think leaders like you that draw attention to it, when you made a comment earlier about we're out of the suck it up buttercup world, I don't agree with that 100%. I want to, but I think it's per leader, and I think what you're doing is huge. But I just sitting here, I can remember calls that I wasn't personally on, but we had a probationary firefighter in a volunteer world that goes out on a call, that running tools that he's not been trained to run on, seeing things that he shouldn't be seeing. It was like week 1, week 2, and no one said a word to him.
Right.
No one said a word to him. So unfortunately, I think that we have leaders that shouldn't be in those leading roles. But I commend you for
that goes into one of the questions that were asked. There was a question that says, how do you not allow an operations discussion of a call to creep into this mental health hot wash? And I honestly think that when it comes down to it, when we start hot washing after calls, we start looking for bad things that happened that are organizational based. It's not up here. It's not what we're thinking. It's not what what we saw or
more
what
of an operational standpoint.
We're coming back and we're going, where did you fail? Where did I fail? Where did you fail?
Just like what we talked about the VFW when I can't remember the young man's name, but he was so negative. He was using nothing but negative words, and and I know it's a play of words, but what could I have done better versus what I fell at? Huge difference. Huge difference.
But also, a lot of the suck it up and take it still comes from the fact that even our leaders don't know how to approach the subject.
Absolutely.
In the first place.
Yeah. They don't know how to coach.
There's no training course on this is how you need to approach your coworker, your employee, your fellow volunteer after this call. There's no right way as things stand right now, to show that openness and to open up that Pandora's box.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no book for that. And back to Chief Kimble's comment early in the episode was, it wasn't until they needed it that they realized they didn't have it.
Sure.
And I would much rather, from a leadership standpoint, the old volunteerism, or the old volunteerism that you always heard was, put everybody on the road. You can cancel them if you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same goes for your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Put these people on the road, call these people, get the help that you need. And that goes back to Chief Kimble putting his best foot forward, reaching out, doing things proactively.
Yeah.
Because I think in an entire law enforcement, EMS, police department, dispatch, everything,
You got them.
law, fire, EMS, dispatch, all together, we are reactive. We're not proactive.
Well, and Chief Kimble is being proactive,
Yeah.
and he's
he's
removing the stigma at the most senior position of the fire department.
But
Sure,
he's a unicorn. Because this should not be, again, this should never, and don't shoot me when I say this, Dylan, this should have never been a podcast. This should have never have been something that the three of us
we've got to break the
Right.
stigma on.
Yeah.
And we can go down, we've done, this is our 14th, 15th total episode. And how many times do we have to say, this should have been in place 5, 7, 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And all we've done is kick it down the can. Chief Kimble is probably the first person in the area of everywhere that I can think of, and maybe even the state level, to reach out proactively to a consulting group to come in to find the failures of his system and to
help build it. Help build a better.
Not only to help build it, but to make it better. Period.
Let me talk about something I see. Especially in the EMS and law enforcement realm, you hire somebody new and they go to the academy, they come back, or somebody's a CPR driver and they become an EMT or whatever, and they get hired at a squad. Talk to them a year later. They're all excited that first couple months, but at the end of that year, they are drained. Our law enforcement partners, our EMS partners, and our career firefighters and our very busy volunteer firefighters get drained by our communities, and it just, and the call volume, and nobody seems to be worried about it. I've always said that, in pardon my language, but police officers deal with shit every day, and they become shit because they become numb to people's feelings because they're dealing with the stuff that they shouldn't be dealing with. And, same with EMS. The local EMS probably runs 14, 15 calls a day, and probably half of them are not needed. They're frequent flyers, or their problems and stuff like that. But it just drains an individual. In the same way with the fire service. The fire service, the volunteer fire service and the career fire service both have had so much put on them from our community. Power lines down. What is a fire department actually responsible for? Ask yourself that. And by state law, it's to fight fire and do rescue. And unless there's a rescue company, it's not power lines down. It's not, CPR, first aid. Yes, we should be helping people medically if we have those resources. But the day-to-day, and to have somebody that risks their lives and spends time training to get better, should not have to be out here raising money to do that. Those people should be spending time with their family, fishing, hunting, doing whatever to release that tension.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And you bring up great points when it is, because it the fire department has become the answer for Division of Highways, Public Works, the power company, the telephone company. It's basically, it's kind of like the easy button.
Yeah.
911 takes a call and they're like, well.
So we've talked about that in the past, and you're exactly right. So, nowadays, and I tried to do this when I was fire chief. Of I don't want the boys out selling hot dogs, the boys and girls out selling hot dogs and running the fill the boot campaign and this, that, and the other. Like, if we were going to spend that time together, it was going to need to be on training and debriefs and building a team and so on and so forth. And you're right, since we've become that catch-all, the fire service has really gotten drained, and EMS and law enforcement, the whole shit and shebang, really, they've gotten drained a lot faster because, what time we do have down is not,
it's not true downtime.
Right.
No.
Right. Especially, I mean, and Adam Hoffman brought up a good point. And his was, his guys leave the station, and I'm sure that any volunteer firefighter, this is definitely, it won't apply to career, but volunteer firefighting, your guys leave the station, and you may not see them for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, just depending, because you never know. I mean, you could go through a dry spell, unless you're one of those departments that is,
racking up. A dry spell, or the calls are hitting when certain individuals are working,
right.
or
But when do you get that connection? And then and then you run down the to Chief Kimble's point. If you're on shift and you're working that 24-48 rotation, you run a call and you go home and you're like, this is just, it's not sitting well. Mm-hmm. Well, you brew on it for 2 days, then you come right back to work, goes to our conversation we had beforehand. Yep. You replace it with something else. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you're going to crack. Yep. There's going to come to a point to where you're going to have your breaking moment, right? Well, but I mean that's it. And how many friends I can name a few, and I'm sure you guys can too. How many friends have we lost? Maybe not suicide, but they've totally stepped out. They don't work and they're out of it. We never see them again. We never see them great, and they could be somebody who is phenomenal firefighter, one of the best rescue techs, whatever it may be. It's
there's two sides of that, Patrick. I think that number one is the overall stressors and the shit that we deal with on a day in day out basis, and then the other part is there's not very many departments with a Chief Kimble that gives a shit enough to implement new policy and to make sure. So as much as it is the trauma, it's also having the backbone and the backing to develop systems and identify failures within your own department or your own organization, and understand that you're killing people just as fast as the calls are.
Right.
So Chief Kimble is that unicorn that is wanting to make sure those resources are in place for him, his employees, his staff both members, paid and volunteer, and their families.
Absolutely. Hey, Chief, we have another individual that's going to join us. You might know him. I believe he's part of your department. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the names or with any of the Baxa names. But joining us now is Lynn Baxa. Lynn, can you give us, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Give us a quick rundown.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you. Give us a quick rundown of who you are, and remember your chiefs online.
Yeah. As you said, I work for Buckhannon Fire Department as well. I've been here since 2011, the end of 2011. So going on 13 years. I started out volunteer, became paid in 2015 whenever they increased staffing to 2 a shift. I was on the entry hire of that. And now I hold the rank of captain here. So pretty proud of that. Born and raised right here.
He was my first kid on shift.
And not to throw age or anything, but he said he started here in 1990. That's the same year I was born.
Mr. Baxa, we regret to inform
that
you that your signal must suck because Chief Kimble said hang up. Well, thank you for joining us. And I know that you're aware of everything that Chief Kimble's doing for the department and working with Battalion 1 Consulting, First Responder Coaching, and starting that regionalized, I'm going to refer to it as a strike team. But due to the interest of time, one of the reasons that we brought Lynn on was for you guys to tell us about the upcoming Country Roads Fire Expo. So between you both, I have a feeling that we're going to get a great rundown of it. So whoever wants to take the lead on that, feel free.
Yeah.
Hey, Captain
Yeah,
Bax has been dealing with it. He's the man.
So my brother and I both, we kind of spearhead this. I take care of more of the sponsorship stuff and a little bit of logistics stuff and all that. So just to give everybody a rundown on it, it's January 12th, 13th, and 14th right here in Buckhannon, West Virginia at the Brushy Fork Event Center, which is in the city of Buckhannon. It's a very fun event. This is the second time we've held it. Last year, we did all lecture based stuff. This year, we're actually branching out and doing a hot class on Friday during the day. It'll be from 8 to 4 p.m. on Friday. It's going to be hosted by Thomas Anderson, Sean Duffy, and Chris Kessinger. They've all taught nationally. And even I know Thomas, he's been overseas even. So some very good instructors that have been all over the place and taught that you can learn a lot from. And they're going to be doing a search class, a hands-on class. Also on Friday, we're trying to get the next rung, like kind of a pre-conference thing started. So they're going to be talking about exactly everything that your guys' podcast is about, which is mental health in first responders. It'll be, they'll give their little presentation, be some talking back and forth round table, some very good conversation there. And then also Friday evening, we're going to have opening remarks and social hour, which will be at the event center. And it's from 6 to 10. The speaker of that, we haven't yet quite announced that yet. We're kind of looking to make sure this next run thing is going to completely fill up. Because if for some reason it doesn't completely fill up or we don't get the participation we want, we're probably going to move it to the evening time that evening. So then on Saturday, we've got a good Saturday filled up. We're going to start out at 8 o'clock on Saturday with a gentleman by the name of Robert Ramirez. Again, he's taught all over the nation. He's going to bring his May Day mindset lecture right here to Buckhannon. So that'll be a good one for anybody to be a part of. Then we'll have Sean Duffy, who will be bringing on his victim removal lecture. Again, Sean has taught all over the nation, all the major conferences talking about not only search, but he's really big on victim removal. And then we're going to end that day with Chief Andy Starnes, now retired Chief Andy Starnes from Charlotte Fire Department. And he's going to bring a lecture that, again, is right in your guys' back door with all the mental health stuff. It's called The Ultimate House Fire, Yours. It's one that can really hit a lot of people, send a lot of people, really digging down deep inside. But it's a good lecture for everybody to listen to. Also on that day, I know I've discussed with Dylan a little bit about maybe doing one of your guys' lives there. And doing a round table, but that'd be the day that maybe something like that could happen. So we're really, really, really excited for Saturday of that conference. That's going to be a really fun day. Sunday, which is going to be our final day, is going to be Jonah Smith. He's also from Charlotte Fire Department. And a lot of people in the fire service has heard of firefighter rescue surveys. So he's going to be there and he's going to be talking everything involved with firefighter rescue survey. So that'll be a good one. And then after he's done around noon, that's going to end our conference this year at noon on Sunday. Last year we went a little further, but it kind of drug some people out for travel reasons, for catching airplanes and stuff. So we decided to stop it at noon for an ease of travel. So that's going to be that. We have all kinds of people there. We're going to have some different vendors set up. Just to run down through that list, our whole conference sponsor is Insight Fire Training, which is ran by Andy Starnes and all of his cadre. We have Heritage Fire Equipment, the Fire Store, and Mercedes Hose. They're good sponsors. We have Atlantic Emergency Solutions, Citizens First Fire Training, Community Care of West Virginia. So that's last year we didn't really branch to any local company. We kind of went to them because they're big in the mental health right now. They're launching a program, a master's degree at West Virginia Wesleyan College. They help get the funding to get that started. So they're going to jump in with us a little bit and help us out a little financially. And then, of course, your guys' podcast, we're glad that you guys are going to be involved, be there, hopefully help spread the word a little bit more. And just, the fire service is all about connections, communicating, building those relationships. Hopefully that'll help you all out too.
Roughly how many participants do you have so far that you think? I mean, I don't know if there's a pre-registration. I think there is.
Yeah. So, and I'll talk about that, the registration side too. So last year, we actually just eclipsed the 100 mark last year. Now, I will tell you this year, our registrations at this point are down from last year. So we're going to try here in the next couple of weeks. We gained a lot of registrations like week before the conference last year. And I get it. A lot of people, wait to see what's happening in life before they register. So right now, I think we're over the 30 mark, and that was before adding a lot of our people and stuff. So I would assume that we're going to be around the 45, 50 mark right now. I would at least hope to gain at least another 25 or 30 people. So, we're still going to be up there. It's a good time no matter how many people are there. Get a bunch of people in emergency services together. It's just a big family reunion usually. So, and just to talk about registration. So it's really important that everybody follows us on Facebook if you can. Country Roads Fire Conference. That's the Facebook name. On there, you'll see our Eventbrite link, and that's how you register. So you can just go through there. Any questions, message that. You can reach out to anybody at the Buckhannon Fire Department. They'll get you in contact with anybody you need for any questions that may arise.
And we'll share that the link to their page in the comment section after the show. I'll get on there and share that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hey,
not a problem. One of the things that that we've talked about multiple times is that we definitely want to do this will actually be our first show of the year. And we want to do it down at Country Roads with you guys. Even bring on, if we could maybe even reserve Andy for a little bit to bring him on to talk about his.
I'm sure he will 100% probably be all for it. So
nice.
I will talk with him, but I'm sure we can pull him on. So
fantastic. Well, hey, gentlemen, I greatly appreciate both of you. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The three of us greatly appreciate all of you. Chief Kimble, to you, sir, I commend you. I think that you're doing something that is probably the future of the fire, EMS, and law service throughout the nation. The program that you've started, the working with the consultings and doing all those things, I think that you have definitely set the stage and the framework for what right looks like. I commend you and your staff members, your team for what they're doing, what they continue to do. Thank you for allowing us to walk with you on some of your journey. I know it's been very rewarding for Dylan and I. Josh is
very much.
He's not been able to make it due to work schedules.
Leave the barn.
Yeah. If we make him leave the barn, he gets a little upset sometimes. But thank you for allowing us to be part of that. That's something that's been very rewarding to us and something that we will hold very close to our hearts. Captain Baxa, thank you for coming on and sharing the word about Country Roads. We will continue to push out information for that conference. If you guys didn't catch the information, again, we will post the link to their page in the comment section. We'll also post it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and I mean, we got 900 followers. We can do better than 100. Come on. I mean, just in West Virginia alone, I'd like to know how many of those followers there are. But, you don't have to be just from our area to come to this. I'd love to see some of our friends from.
I see Louis. Louis will try to make it down.
Last year, Dylan, just to tell you there, we actually had probably, I'd say 50% of our people that were there were probably traveled further than an hour and a half to get here. We had people from Georgia last year that traveled. So it would be really nice to see a lot of people local, close. This stuff don't come to West Virginia. That's what we're trying to do, is get stuff here so we don't have to travel as far.
Yeah. And you hear a lot of people complain about that the training is not local. And, people, I wish they'd have this. I wish I have this. And then when they have it, people don't sign up for it. So exactly what Josh just said. Talk is cheap. If follow them on Facebook, click their Eventbrite link, register for some classes, come down and join us on Saturday night.
Absolutely. Saturday afternoon, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
whenever.
know what time it is. Whatever time Lynn tells
He
us.
just went over all of them.
Chief Kimble, I
Patrick,
apologize. I cut you off. Go ahead. There,
Patrick, if I may, I want you all, and I want to encourage everybody in the administrative part of it, any fire department, volunteer career, directors, EMS, police chiefs, sheriffs, even state troopers, come and at least take in the next rung in Andy Starnes. If you're wanting to make a change in the culture of your organizations, that's how you got to create the foundation to learn, and like I said, back when we had our little thing going on, I was clueless. I had no idea what to do. But as a leader, it's my job to figure it out and take care of our people. And that's hopefully what's going to happen here shortly. So.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you for taking time out. Captain Bax, I know you're on shift, so thank you for taking time out to join us. I'm glad you didn't get a call. Chief Kimble, thank you for taking time out of your evening. Gentlemen, I wish you guys the happiest of holidays coming up from Dylan, Josh, and I.
Yeah.
You guys as well.
We hope that you guys have a wonderful holiday, and we will definitely be in touch with you guys. And again, guys, if you guys did not get the information for the upcoming Country Roads event, we will get that posted on our Facebook page. As always, remember, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm still waiting for my 12-year-old daughter to teach me how to use that. I'm struggling a little bit with that one. But we're on all the platforms. Make sure you follow us. Our email address, we'll throw it up. If you guys have if you guys have questions, if you guys have even recommendations of future shows, if you have a place you want us to host a show at, anything, reach out to us.
About you, Louis.
Yeah,
That's right.
Myersdale, PA is at the top of our list, so we will definitely be making a travel there. We're definitely we will definitely be in Buckhannon to hang out with the boys down there, and then we'll kind of start making some other rounds, I'm sure, as we go through.
2024 is going to be exciting.
It is.
It should be.
Hopefully we will be. A very broad traveling group between FRC, SCARS, all of us. I hope that we can do a whole lot more traveling.
Yeah.
So we will not see you guys before Christmas and before the New Year. So have the happiest and the safest of holidays. Remember that Christmas does not always mean what it means to everybody. Maybe there's some sad moments. Maybe they have a family member that won't be joining them. Maybe there's some sort of a circumstance that doesn't allow for that happiness to be there. Check in on your people and remember who's working. Buckhannon Fire Department is going to be staffed along with every other agency. Mm-hmm. So remember your men and women that are out there protecting, serving, answering the call when needed throughout the holiday season. And make sure you keep them in your thoughts and prayers for safe returns home. And until next time, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for a very successful 2023.
And stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. If you guys need anything, reach out to us. And again, Chief Kimble, Captain Baxa, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Lynn just got a call.
Oh, well, he's out of there. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
We will see you next time.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for another empowering episode of The Resilient Responder, brought to you by First Responder Coaching. If you found strength in our stories, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Connect with us on Facebook at SCARS Inc. and catch exclusive content on our YouTube channel at SCARS FR Services. Remember, your resilience is a beacon of hope. Keep rising, stay resilient, and until next time, take